And welcome everybody to the Pitcher's Pitch. Maurice Drummond sitting in for Tom Ackerman, and of course I'm being joined by Kyle McClellan, the former Cardinal right-hander. And Kyle, you are sporting the blue note. I mean,
Yes.
what about these Blues, huh?
Yeah, supporting my buddy David Backus, and it was a great game the other night, and look forward to the game tonight in St. Louis, back in front of the home crowd. So hopefully we can get a Blues and Blackhawks matchup in the next round. So we're pulling for them.
Oh man, that would be unbelievable, and it's going to be rocking tonight, no doubt about it, at Scott Trade Center. Hey, let's set up this Cards Brewers matchup for the weekend series. Carlos Martinez, he'll take the mound tonight against Matt Garza. I want to ask you about Carlos because here's a guy who was really sort of anointed as the fifth starter, but then he kind of ran into a little bit of a competition with Jaime. Jaime gets hurt. Carlos begins the year as a fifth starter. It seemed like he's off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, I thought Carlos had a good spring. The thing I was impressed about, it looked like he slowed his delivery down in his tempo. Carlos to me is a guy that's a high energy guy, and sometimes that can work against him when things start going wrong. I thought he did a good job of that in spring, of toning it down a little bit, and so far this season he's been outstanding as well. So for him, look for those moments when he starts giving up a couple hits or things start going wrong. Can he slow the game down and eliminate those big innings? If he can do that, he's going to continue to be successful with the stuff he has.
So you got Martinez, you got Wainwright, and you got Lance Lynn. I mean, this is a pitching staff right now, Kyle, that's already off to a great start. Really has had some dominating performances early, even though at times the offense has been a little spotty. How do you see the pitching shaping up right now as we start the series in Milwaukee?
Well, if you look at it on paper, they got a good matchup. The Brewers starting rotation has really struggled, which has led to their bad start. Offensively, Ryan Braun's a shell of himself. Aramis Ramirez isn't hitting. He's the rock in the middle of that lineup over the last few years, and he hasn't been hitting really well. So offensively, they're struggling. Starting pitching struggling. It's a good time for St. Louis to have the Brewers, that's for sure.
Yeah, nice to have them on the schedule at this time. I want to wrap up by asking you about Matt Holliday and a couple of these bats. Holliday, a guy who has come out the blocks, really strong. I remember, just talking to him during spring training about how he's been able to maintain his body and how he knows that he's pushing that older 30 club. When you talk about a guy like him who has that violent swing, how has he been able to maintain himself and really keep himself in that kind of shape, Kyle?
Well, his workout ethic is second to none. I mean, he really puts a lot of time into his nutrition with his training. And look, Matt's a guy that over the course of his career has been about as consistent as you can be. And so at the end of the year the numbers are going to be there. However, it's going to happen through the course of the season. He's going to end up at those career numbers that he's always had. Offensively, as a team, I think the biggest thing for them is getting the hits with runners in scoring position. A couple years ago they were so good at it. This year, it seemed to have a couple of these games where it's 10, 11 hits and only score one run. So we need them to be getting those hits with runners in scoring position. They seem to be getting a lot of hits, but just scattered and not scoring a lot of runs. So I think over time that will clean up, and this team is going to put up a lot of runs on the board.
So the Cards will finish up in Milwaukee. They'll come back home. And for the Pitcher's Pitch, I'm Maurice Drummond, Kyle McClellan. And Kyle, I guess we say go Blues, right?
That's right. Go Blues.